Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, we're going to be talking about Pluto square or opposition to the North Node in the natal chart. And some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects of the natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is, if you have Pluto square or opposite the North Node in the natal chart, one way it may manifest is that there may be difficulty finding the passion, desire, and emotional intensity, which is Pluto connected with matters with your objectives, which is the North Node. Now, let's say, for example, if the North Node is in Aries, those objectives, may be tied in with or they may be pursued with a lot of aggression and forcefulness and enthusiasm, but they may also include things connected with the military, welding, arson investigation, law enforcement, sports. It could be something with physiology or speech pathology, leadership, any of those things as some examples. Now, also, too, you may have trouble balancing activities connected with intimate connections, shared resources situations, which is Pluto, and those people that may be pivotal in your future, which is the North Node. One may conflict with the other. Let's say if the North Node is in Taurus, as an example. Those people that may play an integral role in your future. One or more of those people that may play an integral role in your future may actually be a Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply embody the characteristics of the sign. It could be those that are loyal, steadfast, patient, persistent, persevering, trustworthy, solid, and passive. It may also be materialistic, stubborn, and obstinate as well. And also, too, the same may apply for the things you have a passion and desire for, which is Pluto, and the development of the attributes of the North Node placement. In terms of balancing those activities, one may conflict with the other. The things you have the passion and desire for may conflict with the development of the attributes of the North Node placement, or the other way around. Now, let's say, if you have the North Node in the zodiac sign Cancer, the attributes of that placement that may need development may include, being more, sympathetic, caring, protective, tenacious, dedicated, devoted. It could be, simply being more protective. Maybe there's more introverted qualities that may need to be, developed. It could be, also too, and just being more home conscious, family conscious. In some cases. Now, also to intimate connections and those that you're in a shared resources situation with, which is Pluto, may not be overly beneficial, to your future, which is the North Node, what you're directed to. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily detrimental to your future, but they may not be overly helpful, or they may be away, from, what you're trying to attain as far as your future goes. Now, the thing is, if the North Node, say, is in Scorpio, as an example, your future, may be pursued, with a lot of, passion, emotional intensity, and even in an obsessive or relentless manner, but it may also be, connected, associated with, say, psychology, locksmithing, the occult, which includes astrology, insurance, taxes, loans, forensics, investigation, deep research, embalming, recycling, as some examples. Also, too, you may be, it could be, in some cases, Pluto square or opposite the North Node in the natal chart could indicate either being, maybe overly obsessive in what you're learning and aspiring to be, which is the North Node, or you may simply lack the passion and desire, which is Pluto, in doing so. So, let's say, if you're, the North Node is in Aquarius, as an example. What you're learning and aspiring to be may be more, unobtrusive, inconspicuous, considerate, ingenious, selfless, altruistic, friendly, friendship-oriented, more group-oriented, as some examples. And the thing is, these aspects can also suggest having issues, finding, that power and control, which is Pluto, in what you're learning and aspiring to be, which is the North Node. Now, if you have, say the North Node in Gemini as an example, what you're learning and aspiring to be may be more adaptable, and even, more adaptable to manifold viewpoints. It could be more versatile, diversified, dexterous, articulate, being able to, articulate things well, disseminate and assimilate information. It's also, to being more clever, shrewd, and also to another way these aspects may manifest in a natal chart is that Pluto-related people, may not be, overly advantageous in what you're moving toward and what you're directed to, which is the North Node. Doesn't mean they're necessarily detrimental in those matters, but they just may not be around or may not be overly helpful in, what you are, moving toward. In times they may actually, they'll conflict, with those things, what you're moving toward, what you're directed to, again, which is the North Node. Now, and Pluto-related people covers a number of persons, whether it's those who are in intimate connections or shared resources situations with. It could be those in Pluto-related professions or fields. It could be surgeons, coroners, people involved in insurance, recycling, the occult, which includes astrology, people that are involved in loans, people connected with psychology, forensics, investigation, deep research, embalming, as some examples. Now, also, too, let's say if the North Node is in Virgo, as an example, what you're moving toward may be about being more punctual, reliable, punctilious with details, analytical, being, more cerebral, intellectual. It might be, doing something in which you're compiling or, extrapolating data, as some examples. Also, to transformation, control, power, and rebirth, which is Pluto, may not be easily attained in the second half of life, which is the North Node. Now, if the North Node, say is in Libra, as an example, that second half of life may be one which there's a lot of refinement and balance and peace, tranquility, and maybe one that, which you're emphasizing art or doing something with the law, such as work as a, bailiff, a paralegal, or attorney, as some examples. And also, those prominent in your future, which is the North Node, may not be auspicious as far as you dealing with a crisis situation or even a crime, which is Pluto. Now, if Pluto is in your, say, in the fourth house, as an example, that crime may be one that's home-related. It may be, like a home, say, a home robbery you may have dealt with, or something that, threatened your, safety and security. let's say if Pluto is in the 8th house or Scorpio is another example. That crime may be one connected with insurance or credit card situation, or maybe it was one, in which someone you're in an intimate relationship with or shared resources situation that did something to you, or a crime that involves some kind of trauma of some kind. Another thing, too, is that there may be difficulty in terms of obtaining support, which is Pluto, for your mission and purpose, which is the North Node. Now, if the North Node is in Sagittarius, as an example, that mission and purpose may be tied in with publishing, advertising, printing press operation, religion, philosophy, higher education, or being that perpetual learner, maybe doing something connected with sports, the outdoors, adventure, or camping, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Leonard saying, stay with him.